Olivia Perry stood alone at the transport bay, her single duffel bag clutched tightly against her side. The massive glass dome of the Galactic Naval Academy stretched above her, revealing 3 moons and an unfamiliar sunset. Around her, cadets of a dozen species hurried past, their multiple limbs, scales, or feathers catching the fading light. All humans report to Level 3, Section B for processing, announced a metallic voice. Olivia took a deep breath. After 20 years of humans being part of the Galactic Alliance, only 3 had been accepted to the Academy this year. She was one of them. A tall, 4-armed Taurian in his senior officer's uniform approached the group. His upper eye ridge narrowed as he scanned the new arrivals. "I am Commander Zaxwell, head of Cadet training," he said, his translator making his deep rumbles understandable. His gaze stopped on Olivia, a human female. How optimistic of the selection committee. Laughter rippled through the alien cadets. Olivia kept her face calm, though her cheeks burned. The insult was clear. Humans were considered the weakest species in the Alliance. Too fragile, too slow, too soft. "Thank you, sir," she replied evenly. "I look forward to training under your guidance." The commander snorted. "We shall see how long that enthusiasm lasts, Cadet Perry." As they moved toward the dormitories, a pair of reptilian draconians fell into step near her. "My uncle says humans can barely survive basic training," one whispered loudly. "Her bones will snap during the first gravity exercise." Olivia ignored them. She had faced worse on her family's struggling farm in Kansas. That night, alone in her small room, Olivia unpacked her few belongings. She placed a small hologram beside her bed. Her grandmother, smiling from her hospital bed just weeks before she died. "Remember what I told you, Liv," her grandmother had said, holding Olivia's hand. "They said our kind didn't belong among the stars. Prove them wrong." Olivia touched the hologram gently. "I will, Grandma. I promise." The next morning, the Academy's massive training hall buzzed with activity. 2,000 cadets from across the galaxy gathered for official orientation. Olivia spotted the other humans, a nervous-looking boy from Brazil and a tall girl from Nigeria. They nodded to each other in silent solidarity. Commander Zaxwell took the central platform. "For 2 centuries, this academy has produced the finest officers in the Alliance fleet. Many of you will fail. This is not a place for the weak." His gaze found Olivia in the crowd. Some species naturally possess the strength, speed, and resilience needed for space command. Others, he paused meaningfully, do not. The standards will not be lowered for anyone. After orientation, Olivia studied her schedule. Her first assessment was tomorrow. A physical baseline evaluation. As she walked to the dining hall, whispers followed her. Humans can't even breathe properly in standard oxygen mixes. Their muscles are like wet paper. She won't last a week. Olivia chose a seat at an empty table, eating quietly while reviewing Academy protocols on her datavat. A shadow fell across her food. "Is this seat taken?" asked a tall, willowy alien with pale blue skin and 4 eyes. "It's free," Olivia said, surprise. "I'm Nara, engineering track," the Centaurian said. "You're the human everyone's talking about." Olivia nodded warily. "They said similar things about my species when we first joined," Nara said softly. "Too fragile, too emotional." She tilted her head. "Yet here I am." For the first time since arriving, Olivia smiled. Perhaps she wasn't completely alone after all. That night, while others slept, Olivia studied the Academy's physical requirements until her eyes burned. Tomorrow would be the first test. She would not fail. The assessment chamber hummed with energy as cadets rotated through various testing stations. Olivia stood in line, watching Krell, a muscular draconian, effortlessly lift a gravity-enhanced weight bar. The digital counter flashed. 450 units. The monitoring officer nodded approvingly. "Next," the officer called. Olivia stepped forward, conscious of the eyes tracking her every move. She positioned herself under the bar, planted her feet, and gripped the metal. With a deep breath, she pulled upward. The weight barely moved. She strained harder, muscles trembling, face flushing red with effort. Finally, the bar rose slightly. The counter blinked. 82 units. Laughter erupted behind her. Krell's scales rippled with amusement. "Perhaps we should get her a child's testing kit," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. The officer marked something on her tablet. "Proceed to cardio assessment, Cadet Perry." Throughout the morning, the pattern repeated. In jump height, reaction time, and impact resistance, Olivia scored in the bottom percentiles. Only in flexibility did she rank above average. Commander Zaxable observed from a platform above, his expression unreadable. During the lunch break, Olivia sat alone, studying her results. The numbers painted a clear picture. By Academy standards, she was physically inadequate. Disappointed, Krell slid onto the bench across from her. "You should be. My family has served in the fleet for 7 generations. We know what makes a good officer." He leaned closer. "It isn't this." He gestured at her body with obvious disdain. Olivia met his gaze. "The assessments aren't finished." "They might as well be." Krell smiled, showing rows of pointed teeth. "Earth dwellers belong on Earth." After Krell left, Nera joined Olivia. "Don't mind him. His father is an admiral, so he thinks he owns the Academy." "He might be right about me," Olivia admitted. "These scores are terrible." "The tests were designed for species with different biological advantages," Nera said. "Nobody expects a Centaurian to match Draconian strength, or a Taurian to match our spatial reasoning." Later that day, seeking answers, Olivia found herself in the Academy's vast library. She searched through performance metrics from previous years, looking for any human cadets who had succeeded. "Interesting reading choice," said a voice behind her. Olivia turned to find an older human man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Professor Alan Wright," he said, extending his hand. "Xenobiology Department." "Olivia Perry, sir, first-year cadet. I know who you are." He smiled. "The talk of the faculty lounge." "Not in a good way, I expect," Olivia said. Wright sat down beside her. "What are you looking for in those records?" "A way to survive here. My physical assessment was disastrous." "By whose standards?" Wright asked. Olivia looked confused. "The Academy standards, which were established before humans joined the Alliance." Wright pointed to her tablet. "Look at the endurance metrics. What do you notice?" Olivia scrolled through the data. "The tests only measure output for short durations. Maximum lift, sprint speed, quick reactions." "Exactly." Wright's eyes lit up. "The Alliance species evolved on worlds with different challenges than Earth. Most developed high strength, speed, or sensory abilities. Humans developed something different." "What's that?" "True endurance." Wright pulled up a comparison chart. "Humans can't outrun a Venturi or outlift a Draconian, but we can keep going long after they've collapsed from exhaustion." Olivia stared at the data, a new understanding dawning. "The Academy doesn't test for persistence," Wright continued. "They don't measure who can function on minimal sleep or maintain mental clarity during extended exertion." For the first time since arriving, hope flickered in Olivia's chest. That night, while other cadets slept, Olivia slipped out to the training floor. She began a routine of her own design, not focused on maximizing strength or speed, but on extending duration. Hour after hour, she continued, sweat soaking her training clothes. When the facility's clock showed 400, she finally stopped. The Academy measured what they valued, but perhaps they didn't value everything worth measuring. Cadet Perry explained the navigational solution to this scenario. Commander Zaxvol's voice cut through the silent classroom. On the holographic display, a complex asteroid field rotated slowly, with a damaged ship trapped in its center. Olivia rose from her seat, aware of the sideways glances from her classmates. "The conventional approach would be a C-class rescue pattern," she began. "But given the irregular gravitational pull from the binary stars, I would recommend a modified Ellison maneuver instead. She stepped forward and manipulated the display, her fingers tracing a path through the field. By using these 3 larger bodies as gravitational assists, a rescue vessel could reach the stranded ship using 40% less fuel, while reducing transit time by approximately 7 hours. Commander Zaxvol's upper eye ridge lifted slightly, and if the third asteroid's composition is primarily iron-nickel rather than silicate. Without hesitation, Olivia adjusted her calculations. Then we shift the approach vector by 12 degrees and add a secondary burn here. She highlighted a point on the path. The fuel consumption increases by 7%, but safety margins remain well above minimum requirements. A murmur spread through the classroom. The commander studied her solution for a long moment. "Correct," he finally said, "though I'm surprised a human would consider the density variables." "My family farmed in tornado country, sir," Olivia replied. "I learned early that understanding environmental variables keeps you alive." As class ended, Nara caught up with Olivia in the hallway. "That was impressive. Zaxvol never acknowledges a perfect answer." "I think he's still waiting for me to fail," Olivia said. "Maybe," Nara agreed, "but others are noticing. You've scored in the top percentile on every theoretical exam." Olivia had indeed found her rhythm in academic work. While physical training remained challenging, her mind absorbed tactical theory, spatial navigation, and emergency protocols with remarkable speed. She often stayed awake studying long after her alien classmates required rest or regeneration cycles. 2 weeks later, the first team exercise was announced. A simulated ship crisis with cadets assigned to mixed-species squads. Olivia found herself grouped with Nara, 2 Venturi, and, to her dismay, Krell. "Try not to slow us down, Earth Girl," Krell said as they entered the simulation chamber. The exercise began with a ship-wide power failure scenario. As emergency lighting flickered on, the team raced to restore critical systems. "Engineering station is down," reported one of the Venturi. "We need to manually bypass it. The bypass requires strength to realign the power couplings," Krell said, looking pointedly at Olivia. "I'll handle it." While Krell worked on the bypass, Olivia studied the simulation's system diagram. Something didn't make sense. "Wait," she called. "The power fluctuation pattern isn't random. Look at the distribution." Nara checked her readings. "She's right. There's a pattern. It's a cascade failure originating from the auxiliary cooling system," Olivia explained. "The bypass won't help. It'll make things worse." Krell scoffed. "Nonsense. The emergency protocols are clear." "The protocols assume a standard failure," Olivia insisted. "This is a progressive collapse. If we redirect power through the bypass now, we'll overload the entire grid." The team hesitated, looking between Krell and Olivia. "Trust me," Olivia said, her voice firm. "We need to shut down all non-essential systems first, then restart the cooling loop before attempting any bypass." After a tense moment, Nara nodded. "I'm with Olivia." The team followed Olivia's approach. As the simulation progressed, other teams could be heard dealing with catastrophic failures, while their ship gradually stabilized. When the exercise ended, Commander Zaxvol entered the simulation chamber. Only one team successfully prevented a complete system collapse. His gaze settled on Olivia. "It seems humans have some use after all, if only in theoretical scenarios." That evening, Professor Wright found Olivia in the library again. "Congratulations on today's exercise," he said. "You're beginning to change minds." "Not all of them," Olivia replied, thinking of Krell's angry glare when they were declared the only successful team. "Change takes time," Wright said, "but I've been watching your progress. You're proving something important about humans. We see patterns others miss, and we adapt when others can't." Olivia nodded, returning to her studies. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, she had earned her place. "Attention, cadets!" Commander Zaxvol's voice echoed through the assembly hall. "The annual Rigel course begins in 3 days. A wave of excited murmurs swept through the room. Olivia glanced at Nera, who leaned closer to explain. "The Rigel course is the most challenging test at the Academy," Nera whispered. "A 72-hour survival and navigation exercise on Tarsus Moon. Many senior officers still wear their completion badges decades later." Zaxvol continued. "The course tests everything an officer must possess: strength, tactical thinking, survival skills, and teamwork. Be warned, the dropout rate exceeds 60%. His gaze swept the room, pausing briefly on Olivia. "No human has ever completed the Rigel course." Later that day in the dining hall, Olivia overheard a group of cadets discussing the upcoming challenge. "The betting pool is already open," said a tall Venturi. "Odds are 50-1 against the human lasting more than 12 hours. "Too generous," Krell replied, making sure Olivia could hear. "I'm putting credits on 8 hours. The temperature drops to near freezing at night, and we all know humans can't regulate their body heat properly." Olivia kept her eyes on her food, but her mind raced. She had been training for 6 weeks now, building her endurance while others slept. Professor Wright had provided valuable insights into human physiology that the Academy training programs ignored. The night before the course, Olivia meticulously packed her gear. Every item had been carefully selected based on her research of previous courses. She was double-checking her emergency medical kit when a soft knock came at her door. "Good luck tomorrow," Nara said when Olivia opened the door. "I wanted to warn you. Krell and his friends were talking about your equipment." "What about it?" "I think they might try to sabotage something. Be careful." The warning proved accurate. As cadets gathered at the transport bay the next morning, Olivia discovered her water purification tablets had been replaced with similar-looking breath mints. Fortunately, she had anticipated trouble and hidden backup supplies in multiple locations. The transport landed on Tarsus Moon's barren surface under twin suns. 200 cadets stood at the starting line as Commander Zaxvol explained the rules. "Your objective is to reach 7 checkpoints across 200 kilometers of terrain. Each cadet must navigate alone. Use of unauthorized technology will result in immediate disqualification." At the signal, cadets surged forward. Most sprinted, eager to take early leads. Olivia began at a steady walk, carefully consulting her compass. The first checkpoint was 30 kilometers away through rocky terrain. She had calculated that a sustainable pace would serve her better than bursts of speed. By midday, the twin suns had pushed the temperature to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. Olivia spotted several cadets already showing signs of heat stress. A draconian cadet collapsed nearby, calling for extraction. Olivia continued, her breathing measured, her movement efficient. As night fell, the temperature plummeted. Olivia had prepared for this, layering her clothing and continuing to move rather than making camp. While other cadets huddled in thermal shelters, she maintained a slow but steady progress under the stars. At the 24-hour mark, nearly 40% of participants had already dropped out. Olivia reached the 3rd checkpoint, where a surprised officer recorded her arrival. "You're the human, aren't you?" he asked, checking her vitals. "Your core temperature and hydration levels are optimal." "Thank you, sir," Olivia replied, refilling her water supply. "Is Cadet Krell still in the race?" "Passed through 2 hours ago," the officer said. "Looked strong, but was starting to show fatigue." Olivia nodded and continued her journey. As she walked into the darkness, she smiled. The real test was just beginning, and endurance was her specialty. The betting pool odds were about to change dramatically. The 48-hour mark of the Rigel course arrived with an unexpected challenge. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, bringing with them howling winds and a sudden drop in temperature. The moon's weather control system had malfunctioned, creating conditions far more severe than planned. Olivia trudged forward through the beginning of the storm, her face partially covered against the biting cold. Her muscles ached from constant movement, but she maintained her steady pace. According to her calculations, she had just passed the halfway point of the course. At the fourth checkpoint, a concerned officer met her with a warning. Cadet Perry, course administrators are considering mandatory evacuation due to the storm. Weather projections show temperatures dropping to dangerous levels. Olivia checked her gear. What's the protocol, sir? Extraction is available, but not yet mandatory, he replied, studying her with curiosity. 70% of remaining participants have already requested pickup. Only 18 cadets are continuing. And Cadet Krell. The officer checked his tablet. Still on course, though his biometrics show significant strain. Olivia nodded. I'll continue as well. As she left the checkpoint, the officer called after her. Be advised, the storm is expected to intensify over the next 6 hours. The warning proved accurate. By nightfall, freezing rain pelted the landscape, forming ice on every surface. Visibility dropped to less than 10 meters. Olivia's breath formed thick clouds as she carefully navigated the treacherous terrain. Her communications device beeped with an incoming message. All remaining cadets, be advised. Course administrators have ordered mandatory evacuation due to extreme conditions. Proceed to nearest emergency shelter for extraction. Olivia hesitated, then activated her response channel. This is Cadet Perry. Request permission to continue. After a long pause, Commander Zaxavol's voice replied, Permission denied, Cadet. The conditions are beyond safety parameters. Respectfully, sir, human thermal regulation is different from other species. My core temperature remains stable, and I've trained specifically for extended exposure. At Academy headquarters, Commander Zaxvol and Professor Wright watched Olivia's life signs on the monitoring station. She's right, Wright said, pointing to the biometric readings. Her vitals are remarkably stable. Humans evolved on a planet with extreme temperature variations. They can adapt to cold better than most Alliance species. It's not just the cold, Zaxvol argued. The terrain has become dangerously unstable. Look at her movement pattern, Wright countered. She's been maintaining a consistent pace for nearly 50 hours without rest. Most species would be experiencing severe cognitive decline by now, but her navigation remains precise. Zaxvol studied the data with growing interest. We've never fully evaluated human endurance capabilities. That's my point, Wright said. The Academy's assessment protocols were designed for species with different evolutionary advantages. After a moment of consideration, Zaxvol activated the comm channel. Cadet Perry, this is Commander Zaxvol. You may continue at your own risk. Report status every 30 minutes. Understood, sir. Thank you. As the night progressed, emergency transports retrieved the remaining cadets one by one. Even Krell finally requested extraction after losing sensation in his extremities, a dangerous condition for Draconians. By morning, Olivia was the only cadet still on course. The storm had passed, leaving behind a crystallized landscape. Her muscles burned with fatigue, but she pressed on, her mind focused solely on the next step, the next breath. At the Academy, senior staff gathered around monitoring stations, watching in disbelief as Olivia's tracker moved steadily toward the final checkpoint. Impossible, muttered one instructor. She hasn't stopped for sleep once. Not impossible, Professor Wright corrected. Just different. Human persistence hunting techniques involved pursuing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They evolved to keep going when other species cannot. When Olivia finally crossed the finish line, her time was 4 hours faster than any previous record. Medical scans revealed something even more remarkable. Her body could have continued for days longer. Commander Zaxvol met her at the medical bay, his expression unreadable. It seems, Cadet Perry, that we have much to learn about humans after all. News of Olivia's achievements spread through the Academy like wildfire. Cadets gathered in clusters, whispering as she passed in the hallways. This time, however, the whispers carried a different tone. They say she never once stopped to rest, said a Venturi cadet. Medical reported her body was still functioning at 82% efficiency after 3 days, added another. In the week following the Rigel course, Olivia found herself summoned to the Academy's Administrative Council. She stood at attention before a panel of senior officers, including Commander Zaxville and representatives from various Alliance species. Admiral Lorne, a distinguished Taurian, spoke first. Cadet Perry, your performance has raised significant questions about our assessment protocols. Sir, Olivia maintained her formal stance. For 2 centuries, this academy has operated on standardized metrics that we believed fairly evaluated all species, the Admiral continued. Your completion of the Rigel course suggests our metrics may be incomplete. Commander Zaxville stepped forward. The Council has asked me to form a special committee to reevaluate our training and assessment standards. We would like you to participate. Olivia blinked in surprise. Me, sir? Yes, Cadet. Your perspective could be valuable. As the meeting concluded, Olivia found Professor Wright waiting outside. Congratulations, he said with a smile. You've done more than break a record. You've broken a paradigm. It doesn't feel real, Olivia admitted. 3 months ago, I was barely tolerated here. That's how change happens, Wright replied. Not through arguments, but through undeniable demonstration. Over the next several weeks, Olivia worked with the committee to develop new assessment protocols. She proposed evaluations that measured not just maximum output but sustained performance over time. The revisions acknowledged that different species brought different strengths to Alliance service. A draconian will always outperform a human in raw strength, she explained during one session. But humans can maintain moderate effort for extraordinary periods. Both capabilities have tactical value. The changes weren't welcomed by everyone. Returning from the laboratory one evening, Olivia found Krell waiting in a deserted corridor. You think you've changed everything, don't you? He said, his voice tight with anger. I just completed a course, Olivia replied calmly. The changes were the Council's decision. My family has served with distinction for generations. Krell stepped closer. Now they're saying our methods have been flawed all along. Not flawed, Olivia corrected. Just incomplete. There's room for many kinds of excellence. Krell stared at her, conflict evident in his expression. My father says I should learn from you. The admission seemed physically painful. That humans see things differently. We do, Olivia acknowledged. Just as draconians understand structural integrity better than any species. It's why we need diversity in the fleet. After a long moment, Krell gave a stiff nod and walked away. It wasn't friendship, but it was the beginning of something like respect. By midterm, the Academy implemented preliminary changes to its training programs. Special sessions were developed to maximize each species' natural advantages. Human cadets were no longer required to match draconian lifting standards, just as Venturi weren't expected to match human endurance metrics. Commander Zaxville called Olivia to his office to review the initial results. Applications from Earth have increased threefold, he noted, and dropout rates have decreased across all species. The Alliance works because of our differences, not despite them, Olivia said. Zaxville studied her with new appreciation. I was wrong about you, Cadet Perry. About humans. He placed a small insignia on his desk, the instructor's badge. Upon completion of your term, the Council has approved your appointment to the training staff. Olivia stared at the badge in amazement. Sometimes, Zaxville said, the greatest strength is recognizing where we have been wrong. The graduation ceremony gleamed with tradition. 2,000 cadets stood in perfect formation on the Academy's grand parade ground. Above them, ships from across the Alliance performed a ceremonial flyover, their engines painting colorful trails against the sky. Olivia Perry stood with her class, her uniform adorned with honors no human had earned before. The Rigel Course medal shone brightly on her chest, alongside commendations for academic excellence and leadership innovation. Admiral Lorne addressed the gathering from a raised platform. Today marks not just the graduation of extraordinary cadets, but a turning point in Alliance military history. His gaze swept across the assembly before settling on Olivia. For generations, we believed we understood what makes an officer exceptional. We created systems that reinforced those beliefs. Then Cadet Perry showed us our understanding was incomplete. Whispers of agreement rippled through the crowd. The Alliance's greatest strength has always been diversity, the Admiral continued. Yet we failed to fully embrace what that means. Each species brings unique evolutionary advantages that, when properly understood and applied, make our collective force stronger. After the main ceremony, graduates gathered with family and friends. Olivia stood slightly apart, feeling a familiar pang of loneliness. Earth was too distant for her family to attend. Cadet Perry. She turned to find Commander Zaxville, approaching with an older human woman wearing civilian clothes. "Someone insisted on meeting you," he said. The woman stepped forward, extending her hand. "Captain Lucy Reeves, Earth liaison to the Alliance fleet. Your grandmother and I served together in the early contact days." Olivia's eyes widened. "You knew my grandmother?" "She was my navigator when humans first joined deep space missions." Captain Reeves smiled. "Mary always said her granddaughter would change the Alliance." She was right. Tears threatened at the corners of Olivia's eyes. "I wish she could have seen this. She'd be proud," Reeves said, then added with a grin, "and not at all surprised." Later that evening, Olivia reported to her new quarters in the instructor wing. Her first official duty would begin tomorrow, greeting the incoming class of cadets, which included 15 humans, 5 times the previous number. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Nara. "I brought a graduation gift," the Centaurian said, presenting a small package. Inside was a handcrafted star map showing Earth and the major Alliance worlds. "So you remember where you started," Nara explained, "and how far you've come." "Thank you," Olivia said, genuinely touched. "I couldn't have done it without your friendship." "You would have found a way," Nara replied confidently. "That's what humans do, isn't it? Find ways forward when others see only obstacles." The next morning, Olivia stood beside Commander Zaxville as transport ships arrived with new cadets. Among them were the human candidates, looking just as nervous as she had felt 1 year ago. "They're not being viewed as oddities anymore," Zaxville observed. "Several combat units have specifically requested human officers for long-duration missions." Olivia nodded. "We're still learning what each species does best. The work has just begun." As the new cadets assembled for orientation, a young human woman approached Olivia, her eyes wide with admiration. "Instructor Perry, I'm Cadet Grace Martins. Your Rigel course record inspired me to apply." "The record isn't what matters," Olivia replied gently. "Understanding your unique strengths does." Later, watching the cadets begin their training, Olivia remembered her grandmother's final words. "The stars have room for all of us. Live. We just need to find our place among them." She had found that place and helped create space for others to find theirs. The Academy would never be the same, and neither would the Alliance that it served. In her first address to the new human cadets, Olivia shared the lesson that had changed everything. They may mock what they don't understand. Let your performance be your answer.